Okay, so normally I don't make videos on Overwatch because if you don't know, I'm primarily a Nintendo Switch player. I got to Platinum on Switch in Overwatch 1, and I was able to get to Silver before my console broke and I was forced to either boot the game up on my computer or not play at all. Coincidentally, my TikTok feed was filled to the brim with very recent examples of an influx of hackers in the game, so I figured I would just cut my losses and play a different game. That was until I saw this post on my Twitter feed this morning. Aaron Keller will address the 6v6 debate in Overwatch 2. Blizzard understands that this is a hot topic within the community and that they would like to share their POV in an upcoming blog post or developer update. It's about to get messy. I agree. Now, you might not know this, but I personally have always been a big supporter of 6v6, and any tank player with half a brain will tell you that, without a doubt, tank was the role that was hit the hardest when transitioning to Overwatch 2. In fact, even if you personally have the stance that 6v6 is a thing of the past, we don't need it anymore, even a couple years down the road, where we are right now, they still feel borderline abysmal to play. Seeing this post made me very excited, but also made me very worried. He could say, hey guys, 6v6 is coming back, it'll be here in a season or two. Or he could say, 5v5 is the future, we are working on Overwatch 3 currently, which will be a 4v4 mobile game. Or he could just say, hey, we might do it, we might not, and that might just be the end. Whatever he ends up saying, someone is going to end up being mad. But I personally believe, from what I've seen in Reddit, Twitter, and just talking to players in game, the majority of the Overwatch community that played Overwatch 1 either wants 6v6 back, or at the very least will admit that it had its benefits, while people who started playing towards the end of Overwatch 1 or during Overwatch 2 either don't feel that strongly either way, or don't see a reason to go back to a time in the game that they didn't experience. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I want 6v6 back. It's how I got introduced to Overwatch. I remember the first time I saw this game, I was infatuated with how cool Lucio looked. Fast forward to today, and he's still my main. It's not like I think Overwatch 2 just went completely downhill. I also play a lot of Doomfist, and contrary to what people like Get Quaked On and the entire Doomfist main subreddit will have you believe, I believe that Doomfist is not only pretty strong, but hot take, I prefer him as a tank. Of course, I would love it if he got his Rising Uppercut back, because Power Block is probably the weakest defense ability in the entire tank role. But other than that, Doomfist, to me at least, feels right at home in the tank role. And this brings me back to my preference for 6v6. Because tanks like Doomfist, Wrecking Ball, and Roadhog, some of them, the more controversial tanks, were not really designed for our current version of 5v5. And it shows. Roadhog is basically garbage tier unless he has his hook one shot, in which case he's meta. And Wrecking Ball is just there, like he's fine. But you guys understand what I mean by that, right? Like, which would you rather have to protect you from an enemy team? A Wrecking Ball or a Shining Gold Horse with a massive HP and armor pool? Well, Wrecking Ball isn't really supposed to defend you. Yeah, but he's your only tank. And in this game, you kind of need a tank that can do it all. That's why every ranked game is just Sigma, D.Va, and Roadhog. Because they can either do it all, or in Roadhog's case, they have an ability that justifies them not being able to do that, like being able to delete someone just by looking at them. One more thing, counter-swapping is a big problem for tank players in Overwatch 2. If you're playing Rhino or Doomfist and having fun, you best believe that Mauga's coming out on the enemy team within 5 to 10 minutes. But with two tanks, counter-swapping instantly becomes less effective, simply because countering two characters with one swap is actually pretty hard. Just because Mauga shreds Rhine doesn't mean he can shred through Rhine and Zarya working together. Tanks won't be forced to swap when they see an Orisa or a Roadhog, because you have that other person to pick up the slack for you and vice versa. So if you get one of those Doomfists that just punch into the enemy team and die instantly, just let it be known that with 6v6, that wouldn't be the end of the game. Okay. So there was no way I could possibly address every single concern about 6v6 in a single video, but there are a myriad of videos on YouTube explaining it way better than I can. But let it be known that this is not Aaron Keller saying that 6v6 is bad. This is just him saying that he will talk about it. But I personally think that's a big thing, because in my perfect world, this is just the first step to them actually bringing it back. But it could be the opposite. It could be him confirming that it'll never come back. And in that case, I can't really see, I don't see why they would do that, because we already have 5v5, so why go back? But I personally believe that 6v6 was just a lot better to play, and it would be sad to see them completely rule out the idea of going back to a time in the game which a lot of people look back on fondly. So that would just be sad. But I could definitely understand why they would do that. That's all. See ya.
Don't you notice how I get quiet when there's no